Buckminster Fuller once said, "The best way to predict the future is to design it." And when it's mingled with sustainability, then our future seems bright, secure, and protected. Hi, I'm your show host Mithali Uhuri. Welcome you all with love and gratitude to a special episode with a very special guest, Hazera Chowdhury, who's going to enlighten us about the importance of sustainability design, how her firm Podex is coming up with innovative and earth-friendly product that's going to change people's mindset towards its usage and about themselves as well. So before we begin our interview with Hazera Chowdhury, who's the founder and CEO of Podex, let us hear first what she has to say.
Hi, it's Hazera Chowdhury. I'm the founder and CEO of Podex. I've been invited today by the wonderful Mithali, who is the creator of the Self-Talk Show. It's a wonderful concept. There's been a lot of people on here before, and if you guys haven't heard, I recommend giving this a go. I think you would enjoy it, and very interesting people on there. Today I'm going to talk about me, the Self-Talk Show, right? There's a bunch of questions here that I need to answer, but we're going to cover topics such as my background, my life, design, my design career, and of course Podex. We'll talk about the past, the present, and the future of Podex, and we'll talk about my views and what I want to leave on this planet, how I want to contribute. I'm very grateful that you're all here. I appreciate your presence, and I hope you enjoy the show. So thank you once again, and enjoy.
Thank you, Hazera, and welcome to Self-Talk Show. First of all, a big thank you again for choosing this podcast show as a medium to share your powerful message with the listeners, which is the need of the hour. Secondly, I am very honored to have you as guest speaker on my show. I'm sure your audience would love your vibe. So would you like to share your life story with us? What was your defining moment when you realized design is the field where I fit in, where I can express myself better, communicate with the world in the best way possible, design and build something that can help our planet recover?
So a little bit about my background. I was born and raised in London, England, UK, many years ago now. I know it doesn't seem like that, but it's been a while. So yeah, I grew up in I'm glad. I grew up in East London, and I'm really grateful for being in London just in general, because it's a fantastic city to be in. It's always got the art scene, the design scene, the music culture. It's just, constantly inspirational. And I'm really happy that I got to be around that, whilst I was in my teens and my early 20s. It was very helpful, especially for a design student. So yeah, I grew up in a very big family as well. There's like 9 kids in the family. So there's 8 girls, and there's, my brother who's the youngest, which I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing for him, but I think he's lucky, I don't think he's got much to complain about, although it can be quite harsh for him as well. Imagine having 8 sisters going on at you, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, but it's okay. We're all good. So yeah, that's fine. As for my parents, they grew up, they always used to they used to work in the tailoring industry, the clothing and fashion industry. They would make the inside of jackets and, suits and stuff like that. And, we learned a lot, actually. We used to watch them and also actually help. I used to help my parents make all this kind of stuff that they'd get work for. And, it was incredible, because at the time it was you don't really, sometimes you don't appreciate things until you can look back, and then you're like, oh, wow, I actually am very grateful for that. I feel as though if my parents weren't doing that, I don't know if I know that it's really hard to say, but I feel like it was meant to be. I learned so much. I learned about patterns. I learned how things were made. I learned how the process works. Kind of like a manufacturing line, isn't it? So when I look back at it, it's like, oh my God, there is a process to things. But I was quite young anyway. So, it was nice to help them out and learn at the same time. And my mum, she would always make lots of dresses and stuff, because she had 8 girls. So, my mum's she doesn't do it as much now, but definitely there was some incredible stuff that she would do. Not that I really wore dresses, but some of the things she made, they were I haven't seen someone do something like that, and all the details, you know, and the patterns and the materials that she would buy, because, you know, having 9 kids, you know, clothes, like, you know, you can't buy them clothes all the time every day, you know. So my mum used to make them, and actually it worked out cheaper, didn't it? So you should buy a big long piece of material and, you know, just cut it out and boom, you got clothes. So yeah, I look at some of the things that my mum made when I was younger, and I'm wearing them like, whoa, I would never wear it now, because like obviously there was like, it felt quite eccentric, some of those stuff, but it's just my culture as well, like the Asian side of me, the Bengali, you know, Indian side of me, which, you know, I felt like I don't know, it's just nice to see. So that's, you know, that was my life. But I just remember every Saturday morning I'd just love to draw. Like I would just, you know, we used to grow up we grew up in the block of flats, and there was like a step in front of the balcony door, and you could see like trains go by, and, you know, I was just really like, every Saturday morning I'd be there. I'd use that little step as my table to draw on, and I could see the outside and, you know, just draw away. I just loved it. It was just my thing. But as I got a bit older, I discovered that I love to make. Like, you know, I just remember when we moved into a house at one point, with the first time ever, we had a garden. And, you know, I was just like, I enjoyed picking up bits of wood and just like putting them together, making something out of it. I just really like thought, this is me. I just love to make. You know, this is why I became a designer, because it was initially because I love to make things. And that changed, you know, a bit more into more of a technical design at some point. And like the first time I ever discovered like what I really wanted to do as my career in the future, it was to design. I mean, I remember there was this show on TV. We didn't watch TV much, but it would come on once a week at some points, and it was called Changing Rooms. I mean, it was a show over here in the UK. I don't know if it was anywhere else in the world, but, you know, it was on TV here, and it was about these designers that would come on to, you know, help change and design someone's house, like a room. So it wouldn't be the whole house. It'd be just like, I don't know, the living room or the bedroom or whatever. And they'd swap with like their neighbors or their friends. So each like person would bring someone else on. So one neighbor would bring on another neighbor. Okay, I'm not going to explain this because it's too long. But the point is that there was, you know, a designer also with them, and they would come on every week as well. But sometimes they changed designers as well. But it was just an incredible show, because it was like a transformation from something really bad into something wow, you know, like it was crazy. And I just remember I was 13 at the time, and I used to watch it and gradually feel so excited about that show. Like it would be on my mind, like, you know, I mean, I used to love all kinds of other shows that like Power Rangers and, you know, Thundercats and things like that. But this show was different. It was like I could feel myself, you know, like can't wait for the next episode next week, you know. And the designers would come on the show and they would change things, and I would be like, wow, this is what I want to do. I wanted to be them. I wanted to be that designer. And I obviously was like, well, that's me. I knew the moment when I was going to be a designer. I was like, right, I need to be designing. So I just remember after a few years after that, I was just like calling up places. There was this thing in the UK where it was like a big catalogue of numbers. It was called the Yellow Pages. And I remember I was about being 16 at the time, and I was just like, well, 14, even from 14 onwards, because we did work experience, and I ended up being in an architecture place because I just love to design. So I made sure that my placement was at an architectural firm, because I really enjoy doing like designing space and like how things fit and how to improve an area, you know, and this is why, I mean, I ended up doing some interior design as well. I mean, I don't do it much now, but it was just the love of designing interiors. And I spent most of my life going that way until like I was like 16, 17. I was just calling up all these firms like, hey, can I come down? You don't have to pay me. I just want to help you out. I will work for free. You know, and I worked for free for a lot of people, like, some people, like, they were taking advantage, but in terms of like, they were just giving me lots of stuff, but it didn't matter. I had the energy, I had the drive, I wanted to do it. So yeah, I did that stuff. And I worked in an architectural firm one time in Hackney, East London. And another one was like, I made stuff for like 2D, 3D. Like I used to make stuff for films, like big props, and we'd work with car body filler. And, again, I just love to make. So it was my thing. So yeah, I did that. And eventually I headed into I was in college and got a place at this university that my teacher was like, you have to take this placement. I mean, not many people get into that university and you've got a chance. But the thing is, I didn't want to do product design at the time. And I think my teacher just helped me realize that product is what you need to be doing. So I'm very grateful for her. I think I was not the best student back then. I was 17, a lot of things going on, and you're not really focusing on your future career. You just you're in the moment of being a teenager and having teenage issues, like, let's just say, things like that. So yeah, but I'm so grateful to her, actually. Had she not pushed me in that way, I don't think I'd be doing product design. It was something weird because it's like she helped to get that out of me, whereas I thought, right, I'm going to be an interior designer and that's where my life is going, But I'm so grateful that she kind of stepped in and for me and directed me. So grateful for that as well. You asked also, what did you ask me in here? I'm just looking at the questions because can't remember everything. So yeah, you also asked me like where I can express myself better. Design is a field where I fit in and where I can express myself better. Yeah, I definitely feel like it's the place for me to really fully be myself. Like, I don't want to hold back in that sense, because I always tell people, like, I'm here to express myself, not impress, express, not impress. And it's true, like, I have this, these ideas given to me, like they come through me somehow, and I got so many inventions and so many design ideas are written down everywhere, and I just want to be able to put that out there to the world, because I feel as though it's something worth doing. The things that we make, like, it's always to inspire intelligent human behavior, and this is the thing about helping the planet to recover as well. Like, this is one of the reasons why we made the bottle. We made a reusable bottle, and it's just, it's to help eliminate single use, because I find that in order for change, you have to make things convenient, otherwise people are not going to change. And that's where the inspiring intelligent human behavior comes from, because you're going to give them things or design things and make things that they're going to use, that's going to only encourage a positive impact. And that ultimately is how I believe that we can help this planet as well. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. But yeah, there's a lot more to know about it. So for sure, that is a way to help recover the planet. But it is really about the things that we use from day to day. And ultimately, that's the things that we should really look at. How people are, how we behave, how we are around us with nature and things like that. And I want to create products that, have some kind of symbiotic relationship with nature in a way that it's going to also impact nature in a positive way. So when we did create that bottle, Soul, we call it Soul X, but I call it a Soul X reusable capsule. It's ultimately like, if you go to a store for like coffee or something, if you go to a cafe or whatever, you already have a reusable bottle, but then you might not have anything to put your coffee in or your smoothie in or whatever you order. And the whole point is that the bottle comes in two parts, so that the other half you can store hot drinks in, and therefore you don't need to go out and get a single-use cup. Because, making something only for it to be thrown away is just not ideal anymore. It just doesn't work out that way anymore. And that's how I feel, like, instead of constantly making and throwing away, we can make something that's gonna last a long time and it's convenient. So yeah. And when I think about like these ideas that I've had since a young person, I remember times when I'd they may have seemed a bit crazy because I remember growing up, like I'd draw something, I'd make something, and I'd run into the room. This was like around when I was like teenager, and I'd be like to my siblings, hey guys, look, I made something, look, and they'd be like, yeah, sure, yeah. They're like, I think they're just like, I don't know, they're probably doing it in their own world, doing whatever they wanted to do. But I was just on this high of designing. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, don't you think? Like, yeah. So it didn't get as much excitement from my siblings, but it's okay, but everyone had their own thing going on, so yeah. But just had to add that on, I think, because I'm glad that I continued doing design because it meant so much to me. Like, it is really my thing. So, and I wasn't discouraged, and it wasn't like anybody was discouraging me, but I think coming from an Asian family, could have been a little bit like, oh well, what the hell's design? What the hell is product design? But I never felt like unsupported, but I didn't feel like it was a big thing back then, because you get the things like, oh, be a doctor, be a teacher, be a nurse, be a this, and that's great if you want to be that, but it's not if you don't want to be that. So yeah, so I'm just really grateful that I stuck to my ways of and ended up doing this, which is designing and creating a spectacular brand, Podex, where we make amazing futuristic designs that really here to help. But yeah, that's my bit of my background up until Podex.
How cool is that? I think making, creating and designing was already in your blood. And I love the fact that you explored it further and nurtured it, which is so great. This leads us to our second question. How did Podex come into existence, and what's the significance behind the name? Also, could you kindly elaborate on the terminology you used on your website, such as the rebirth of Earth?
So how did Podex come into existence? Well, this is something that was going on in my mind for many, many years. It was something that was brewing in the back of, like, just whenever at uni, even when I was working with people, I always knew I was going to end up doing something independently. And also, it was just very hard to find a job in the time when I graduated and stuff. And back then, there wasn't that many product design jobs. I had other jobs, like I was working in museums, I did some stuff in schools, I worked in like just so many different things. But and I also was doing a lot of freelancing as well. Like I did a lot of freelance jobs, and yeah, but it was just like, I want to finally make something myself, my own design, And it was just, like I said, I was at uni, it was brewing in my mind. And then eventually when I graduated, I was like, right, okay, I'm going to do something myself. So it took a few years after uni as well, because I had to be working and I had to do other things. And it was very hard at the beginning because I was doing 5 jobs in one go. So yeah, I would just work somewhere and then work somewhere else in the evening and then have other freelance jobs on the side. So it was quite a lot at the moment, but I really wanted to Podex, and so I just knew I had to come up with some funding as well to get it started. And it wasn't easy. I mean, I could go into that and explain a whole lot of stuff, but I don't know if this is the time or the place. But and the name Podex, like you asked me what's the significance of the name of Podex and the meaning. Well, I always, at some point was going to have my own design firm, let's call it that. But I didn't want it to have any particular association apart from the one I wanted it to have. So I thought about different names, what can I call my design firm? Space design, fire design, earth design, I don't know. But the thing is, I didn't really want, as soon as people heard fire design, they'd probably think, oh, it's fire, they'd associate you with fire. So I thought about a name that I just thought I'll create it. So it took me 9 months to create the name and the logo even longer. But it came down to, what do I love? What do I see? And I thought about the word pod. It was just a word that I liked. I always liked that word because a pod is not clear as, if I was to say water, what water looks like, or a candle or whatever, what these things look like. But with a pod, you don't really know. You don't know the color of it. You don't know necessarily the full form of it. But, and it came from the love of nature and space. Because I was thinking about the word space pod. I was like, oh, okay. People go to space, and I like that. So there was a little bit of association with there. because that's what I wanted to incorporate. And then there was nature, like a seed pod. Like if you get a seed of any kind of plant, it always comes in some kind of like a pod, let's just say. And that really, like, you know, I felt that was a good thing to start off with, because it was all about, you know, it tied in with the two of the subjects that I love. So yeah, I went with that. And then the dash X was all about adding, taking away, multiplication. So the takeaway was all about like removing things that are no longer needed, or get rid of let's get rid of the bad stuff, you know. And the X, which was also to do with like growth and multiplication, it was to do with like multiplying good things. So if you turn the X around, it becomes a plus. So it was all about like, you know, taking away the crap, adding the good, and multiplying the good. So there's that, like, you know, part to it. But I also really liked maths. Like, I hate maths, but I just liked the way numbers looked. So I wanted it to have some kind of like maths involvement. That's probably just to do with some engineering there, because obviously I did product design engineering as well. And, you know, I don't know if like, it was just the way it looked. For me, it felt cool, and I wanted to give it a bit of a futuristic feel, because I knew some of my inventions and designs were a bit ahead of their time. So that's why I went for that. You know, and the X is all about like X and Y and chromosomes and growth, and also just what is X, because like X is nothing. The X is like what you make, right? So you could do, like, you could say in a sentence, you know, an X came along, like, or this came along, or this happened. You know, X equals what? What does X equal? You know? And also it's the sign of love, isn't it, in a way, when you give someone a kiss, like, you know, a non-romantic kiss as well, like an X. You put an X on, sometimes when you write a message to someone and you put a little X at the end. So it was all to do with love, creation, love of nature, love of space, futuristicness. And yeah, I feel like this was really me, you know, this was really what I wanted to do. So yeah, so that's one of the main significance, well, some of the main significance here. And you asked about if I could explain about the terminology about the rebirth of Earth. So PodX is always going to make products that help create more of a conscious, loving planet. It sounds a bit cheesy, but it is that. It really is that. It's the rebirth of Earth, as in all the products that we make are going to be great. Like, they're newborn products, they're inventions, they're innovations that haven't been necessarily made before. And, you know, it's a way of doing things that allow the user to have more of a positive behavior, you know. So it's about creating conscious products, you know. So whereas before someone would just get a single-use cup, drink it, throw it away, now they have this product, the Soul X bottle, and they can, you know, they don't have to use a single-use cup now because they've got something there. So it's like creating a new kind of new products that are more conscious. So it's the rebirth of Earth. You know, it's about doing something new and doing it, you know, implementing it in a way that's going to impact, you know, everything, you know, like space, nature, humanity, ocean. It's going to have a positive impact on all of those things. So the rebirth of Earth really is about having conscious products, creating conscious products that helps this planet. So that's why we called it the rebirth of Earth. And just to add to the significance of PodX and, you know, the way it looks, the whole thing about the X being in a circle is really my mind. I call it another planet. I call it Planet X, because inside my head is Planet X, which is all the thoughts, all the creations, all the things that are going on. And so it's basically, it comes from like the idea of it being its own planet, and it creates things in that planet, and then it sends out to other planets that need help. I know it sounds a bit crazy, but what I'm trying to say is that, like, you could see PodX as a thing outside of Earth, because our designs are out of this world. Like, we're not thinking only based on what we see on Earth, you know, because our inspiration goes from everywhere and anywhere. So yeah, so that's why I felt like it makes more sense to, like, I guess, I mean, it's just like a bit of a story, but it's like a planet on its own. And, people in PodX, we're all making stuff, creating stuff that we're going to send out to whatever things needed. Like, for example, the ocean. We made the bottle for the ocean because, the ocean on Earth was in trouble. And we had Mission Earth. We had Mission Earth and Mission Ocean. That's a lot to say. But and so the whole X in the circle represents that. So I created the name PodX, many, many years ago. We're probably going over even 13 years. I was a student and I had these names. I'm just thinking of creating a name for my brand. And I thought about the things I love and what I wanted my brand to represent. And then I came up with the word, PodX. And it all became that, basically. And it came from the love of nature, like seed pod, and the love of space. So I wanted that to represent my brand, because those were the things that we were going to make, things that help nature, things that help us to, just become better as a planet Earth, and all to do with space, nature, humanity, ocean, all that kind of stuff. And I felt like that was just very fitting. We've been using this name, as I said, over 13 years, and then legally I trademarked the name in 2015, and then again in 2017 for my brand. And we've been using it legally as well since then as well. So it's been a very long journey, but I'll explain in a bit more detail about the name and everything.
Wow, I'm feeling so motivated right now. 5 jobs. I mean, I can't imagine, it's a lot. And about PodX, if we talk about the name itself, it is so logical, so creative and space nature inspired. It's brilliant. Do you want to talk about your newly developed product, SoulX? And what other futuristic products are you planning to give this world with?
So, I'll talk a little bit about Soul. SoulX is our product. It's a 2-in-1 hot and cold multi-beverage reusable capsule. That's how I like to describe it. It is basically a bottle and a flask combined together. You can drink from both ends. There's a secret compartment in the middle. It's completely shatterproof, it's dent-free, it's rust-free, it's durable. It's the height of an A4 piece of paper and the width of just like a average mug for drinking coffee in whatever, that stuff. It fits in most car cup holders, and it's just a very convenient way of using every day. You go out, just grab SoulX, just grab it, take your water, take your coffee, take your juice, take your smoothie, whatever you need. And also, if you have any loose coins or gum or pills or medication or sachets that you need with you, or a tea bag, you can put it in the middle of the bottle. If you open both pods, the clear pod and the white pod, if you open them up, you'll find a little secret compartment. You don't have to use it. It's there for the bits that you don't want to carry around, for example, like loose change. And it's just a really handy thing to have. So it's completely dishwasher safe. It's also, it's also made of food grade safe material. I chose this material specifically because there are so many bottles out there made of various materials, and some of them are not very healthy. This is BPA free completely. And also with glass bottles and aluminium bottles, they tend to sometimes grow a certain bacteria that PC just won't grow in. And the way the whole thing is designed is to enable people to clean it easy. So if you open the top pod, you will see the clear side that you can put your hand with a sponge, or you don't need any special tools necessarily to wash it, because you can't reach. There's a lot of bottles out there that you can't actually reach and you can't wash. And so it just has this flow of allowing water to not sit in there. And because it's also made of food grade safe material, it is it's actually it won't smell, easy to clean. It's all that kind of stuff. So I was very conscious about the things I was doing with this. How are people going to interact with this bottle? How are people going to, how they're going to use it? So it covers most things. And also rust. A lot of people have bottles made of aluminium because they think, or metal of some kind, and think they're being more healthy and safe. like for the environment, but actually it's not always the best thing because it's not convenient. If something's got a dent in it, then it's not the right material. It just isn't. Like, I just don't think so, because something like that you're prone to dropping. Like, if you got a bottle on you, and you're traveling everywhere, there could be a chance that you drop it on the floor, and now it's got a dent in it, and now you're carrying this bottle with a dent in it. It doesn't look good, and sometimes a lot of these things are scratched, and you can see the paintwork or the coated powder that they've applied on there is all like coming off, and it just doesn't look nice. And this is so I just want to stay away from that. And also like rust grows on these things. Like, this is like a bottle that you're supposed to take outside, right? You're going to be interacting with the weather, you're going to be putting water in it, and you're going to have oxygen mix in there, and then you get rust. And I wanted to avoid that, because there's no way that I'm going to create something that's going to harm anyone or anybody. No way. I mean, I'm here to make the best products, and I'm thinking about every single situation that anyone could possibly be in, so yeah, I needed to make sure that it was completely BPA free, wasn't going to grow rust, wasn't going to dent, wasn't going to crack, all the things that you want in a bottle. Like, you want your bottle to be durable. You're going from left and right, here and there. It's got to be safe. It's got to be, and also with glass, I just didn't think it was convenient. Glass is very prone to breaking. And then I also didn't want that to become some sort of like, I don't want the glass to break and then someone hurts themselves, or, what, God knows what, anything could happen with glass. So yeah, it's best to stay away from that. And I just think that a good, well-designed product would have the right material applied to it, and not for the sake of just trying to be green for the sake of money, or, I just don't believe in that. I believe that we should all have great products that, are safe for us and are easy for us to use and are convenient for us to use. And, that also has a good impact with nature. So yeah, that's why. And you can drink from both ends. And I made it like that because in my mind, Soul X, like I said, it comes from Planet X, my brain, which is like, it's basically a way of thinking, right? Planet X is a way of thinking. And I imagined that this capsule-like bottle was floating in space, and it was heading towards Earth, and it was there to help people. So yeah. And I just wanted to give it that like feel that, because it doesn't, if you look at it, it completely stands 90 degrees. It's, and it just looks like there's no, it doesn't look like a normal bottle with a lid on top. That's what I'm trying to say. It's very iconic in its design. And yeah, I think everybody should have really cool products that are not only great for the environment, but great for them as well, Like, I made it as well because I like to have multiple drinks in a day. Like, I will, and it's refillable easily, because I would have my lemon water, and maybe I'll have a juice of some kind, like a fresh juice, and I can store it in two pots. And, and in case I ever need to take some supplements, or if I want to have a cup of tea, I can just put my tea bag in the middle and have it for later. It's just like things like that. It's very convenient in that way. So yeah, so that's a bit about Soul X. So yeah, and it is a product, like the whole idea of the design is that it is out of this world. It is floating in space. It's something different, something unique, something that you're not going to get anywhere else. It is design registered and patented. That took a long time to get done, but when we had to do the US one, it was a lot of work. But yeah, we got our design and our patents in the US as well, so that's really handy. And there are some multiple places as well in Europe. So yeah, I'm happy about that. I also would like to add that I've given, like, each lid, it's also turns into a cup, so you do have like 2 cups with you. It's just we've got like 3 ways of drinking from it. So you can open the main lid, you can drink from the spout, or you can open the main lid and the spout, and you can drink just from the big wide mouth of the pods, or you can pour some liquid into the cup from the spout and you can drink it as a cup. So there's many options and ways of doing things. And also the spout is in the middle of the bottle, because it's the best way to, like, say if you're traveling for example, and your cup is wobbling left and right, that sometimes can make it spill. Whereas if you're like if you're on a car, you can drink without it like knowing that it's not going to spill left to right. And you can put a lid on it as well, so that stops from spillages. And even the way the whole thing pours out is really nice. You don't get any kind of like you don't get an extra little dribble at the end. Like sometimes you get that in certain jugs and certain bottles, but it completely it doesn't allow any extra dribble on there. So yeah, there's a lot of thought that has gone into it, and it looks very simple, but it was very technically, it was quite difficult. It wasn't going to be made at first because it just seemed like a bit of a crazy design. It doesn't look crazy, but the technicality of it was. We've gone through a few molds to make that, and that is time consuming and heavily pricing. So yeah, but it's worth it. It's going to be worth it at the end of the day, because everyone's going to get this great product, and that's what matters the most. And the other thing about Soul X is that the whole design allows you to split the bottle in half, and you can separate the cold pod and the hot pod. You can if you wanted to just carry the one, you could. If you ever just know that you're just going to go to the park and you don't need to carry both, you don't have to. It's very versatile. I've made sure that it's versatile because we're all different human beings. We all have different needs and wants, and I've tried to make a product that's universal but independently unique for everyone. So someone might want coffee, but someone might not drink coffee. They might want tea, or someone might want juice instead of water. It's just very multiverse. It's got very and it has to be that way because you're trying to make sure you cover for most people, right? If not everyone, but I don't know if that's going to be the case for everyone, but I try my best. That's all I can really say. And the name Soul X. So because it's in two parts, I always wanted to leave a message, give people a good message for our products, and connect to your soul. I wanted to have that in there because a lot of people don't know themselves. They don't know what they really want in life, or they think they can't get things in life. And it's really about knowing who you are and what you want and who you are becoming. So there is a bit of a little message in there. It's up to you the way you take that message, but for me, I wanted to give that to everyone, connect to your soul. You know what I mean? That was really the message for me, is to get to know yourself and love yourself. So yeah, for me, soul is also a representation of life, like the yin and the yang, the hot and the cold, the left and the right, the up and the down. Everything comes in twos in life. We as social creatures need other people, and people need us. It's everything works in twos, So it's the duality and the polarity of life, It's about, you're not always going to be sad, but you're not always going to be happy. You're not always going to be hot. You might be cold. It's things like that. You might be rich and you might be poor at times, but this is the balance of life. You're going to always, and I feel like you're going to experience both. And for me, the bottle Soul X is about that. You've got the duality and the polarity. The duality, which is the two drinks that you can put into one, and the polarity of both ends, the top pod and the the bottom pod. So yeah, you've got the two of two, So for me, that was really important to make people aware of. I know it doesn't really come across like that, because for most people it's just a bottle and they're not going to really think twice about it. And hopefully it's not. There's more to this. There's a meaning behind this. That's why I want people to buy products that are more thought out well, because it helps them. It helps them ultimately to understand of being a way that's more helpful for them and others. So yeah, so that's really, what soul is about as well. And, having the dark side and the light side, transparent, clear side, it's all about lightness. It's all about, and the white side, which is dark because you can't see through it, is about the dark side. So again, light and dark, that's life, the up and down of life. And yeah, and the whole point of it being that color is because I feel like we as humans on this planet, that live on this planet, we have a bit of a responsibility to, bit could be the wrong word to say, but we definitely have some responsibility to, make this more of a conscious planet, a conscious way of living, We're not just here only for us. Like, we can't, like, I don't believe that we're only here for us. I believe that we're here for others as well. It's what you contribute, how you give to others, and, what you get as well. So, yeah. And I feel like this white and transparent is it's a universal message of like, we're going to do better. We are doing better. We are doing well. We are taking the steps in the right direction. So, yeah. And, there is a possibility of having different colours down the line, but, that's not something I'm looking at right now, because for me, it's really about a universal message, and it's everybody aiming for the same goals, like when it comes to the planet Earth. And, I talk a bit about the light and dark, and it's also the representation of you as an individual of, we're in this world where there's sides to us that we show and there's sides to us that we don't show. There's this transparent side of you, your authentic self, and then there's this private side of you which you might not share with the world. And again, that's also okay. That's my whole point about Soul X. It is it's a reminder that it's okay to be this and that. It's okay to feel good. It's okay to feel bad at times. It's just life.
Thank you for that in-depth explanation about Soul X and its significance. I feel that it's more than a product, a message, a reflection of ourselves. What is your creative process when designing or even thinking of designing a product? Also, what according to you is the foundation of a good design?
So my creative process when designing is, it's not a one-way thing, is what I can say, is that, because an idea will come into my head, or sometimes I will be doing something and then I notice a problem. So really, there's no one way of it, it just depends. But most of the times I find myself just getting ideas randomly out of nowhere, or just it's there, and then I start to think about it, and then I actually do write them down. I sketch it out, I write it down, and I just have all these little ideas in my head and that I put down on paper. And let's just say we were starting on a project, like I had this invention recently that came in my mind, and I was just literally coming out the gym. I just went to the gym in the morning and just started walking, I thought I'll walk it back, and this thing came into my head, and I was like, oh God, why me? Why do I have to get this idea? Because it's an amazing idea, and it's just, it's going to be a lot, I think, for me. Not necessarily a lot. I know I can do it. I know we will do it, but it's just like, wow, this is quite big. The inventions, the products, the innovations, they're all out there. They're crazy, but really, like, sometimes I just think, wow, how come no one's ever done this, or how come no one's done that? But I don't really stay too focused on it. I mainly focus on just what we need to do. And usually the process will start off with, sketching ideas out initially, talking to some people. I also make a lot of ideas and generally work when I'm traveling as well. I find myself, like, when I'm on a plane or a train or in a car, my mind is constantly stimulated. Ideas are just coming out of my head, and it's like, there's not, like, everything can be an inspirational point for me. Like, I could go to the park and something will pop into my head, so my design and my creative process really does start off with a thought, or if I encounter a problem, or if I hear about someone's problem, and I try to sit there thinking, oh, if we did this, we could solve that problem. So and that's how it usually starts. And then again, like I said, sketches, drawing. Sometimes we'll make models. We'll do 3D models. We'll put it through the computer. We'll also make stuff. And but initially sketching will always remain at the core of any design process. There's things I've sketched on like the backs of like magazines or napkins, and it's true what they say. It's like, you really do have that, like, you have to put it down on paper or somewhere. You just have to. I do remember a lot of stuff, but it's just also nice to put it down on paper. And then so that's how we do it. And when I'm designing a product, it really goes through a lot of stages. It's like, what you start off with is what you never end with. Now that's a little bit hard to understand, but like, you think you have an idea and you draw it and it's good, and then you start to do the development process and it's completely different. Because even when I look at Soul, it wasn't going to ever be like how it is now. Initially, the idea was that it was going to be a bottle that you can kind of share with a friend, because I was always like, I never like, if I'm drinking something or eating something, I don't like sharing the same like spoon or sharing the same, like, I don't like to no, basically it's just, I don't know, I think it's maybe the way I grew up, but I like, if a friend wants to take a sip of my drink or anything, I'll be like, can you sky it? Meaning that, can you just like not put your mouth on it? Now that's not anything to do with just like, oh, being disgusted or anything. It's just the fact that I don't want any backwash in my food, or like, I don't know, it's very personal. I don't know if I could do that. So yeah, and the idea was that, oh yeah, there could be two sides at the top, and people can share it. But then it just kind of changed to like, suddenly I got this other idea, which was like, oh my god, we should be able to store hot drinks in here as well. And then it really went from there, and then it really developed, and what it looked like initially, what it looked like isn't exactly what it looks like now. I mean, I remember having some issues with the lid. I was kind of obsessed with this detail of having like a bit of a dip inside the first lid, and I it was kind of like, looking back at it was like, oh god, why did I do that? Only to come back to the beginning. So we went through all this stage, and then trying to use this kind of like bit that goes in, only for us not to have it in the end. But I believe that sometimes you do these things only to realize, yep, that we shouldn't change or that we should keep. So it does go through a heavy process, and then the engineering side and the prototyping and the material sourcing and researching the materials, investigating the materials, making sure it's the right one, making sure it's healthy and safe for everyone, because that's my main concern, like safety, isn't it? Like I said, would never want to use anything that's going to harm anyone in any way, but is also a good fit for the actual products. Like, a lot of people, they think that plastic is the issue. It's not plastic, it's actually how you apply. It's like what application do you use it for? I mean, I wouldn't recommend using plastic for single use, but would I recommend using it for something long term that's BPA free, that's safe? Yeah, it's durable. You don't want a bottle that breaks every 5 minutes. You don't want it to be dented or anything like that. So yeah, and it's it's completely fine to use. So yeah, so the material part also has its long process as well. So yeah, that's how it starts. And what is good foundation of good design? What do I believe is good design? I believe good design is using materials that can sustain the product's lifetime as much as possible. So I'm very much about making sure that you use the right material for the right application. I also believe good design has to be a design that's convenient, so that it helps overall. Whatever you want to achieve, it has to be good for the end user, like, so they're not having to do so much just to use something. It's got to be quite easy to use, and it's got to look, obviously, style is very important. The way it looks is very important. It has to be, because we live in such a world where everybody wants nice things. Gone are the days where it's engineers making big boxes. The box has to have detail. It has to, it has to relate to someone. It has to make someone feel something. So yeah, I believe what good design is, all those things that I've mentioned. And yeah, there's a lot of things I could say about what is good design. I think it's hard to just say what is good design without understanding what the product is. Like, it really depends on the product. I don't think every design should have a set of rules, but I think there should be a basic rule, but not every single one needs to be covered, because you could be making something that doesn't cover those designs, but it covers the purpose for it. And I think that's important as well. So yeah, but in a basic outline, what is good design? It is, picking the right material that needs to look well and work very well. It needs to not Like, it needs to be able to, and of course it should be sustainable, but some things are not always going to be sustainable. They might help solve a big problem, like a really big problem, but maybe we're talking about like really serious stuff, but that's why it's very hard to apply one set of rules. So yeah, but it should have at least the basics. Another part of my design process is actually just being like trying to put myself in an environment that inspires me, or doing things that inspire me, like nature and music. I would say music is a big one for me. I love music. It's really my thing. Like, I'll sit there listening to different kinds of songs and tracks, and just to take a little bit so I can apply it into part of something, whether that's making a video, or whether that's helping to understand the lyrics that can help make us make a great product. So I really love that kind of stuff. I love to understand what people are going through, what people are talking about, what they're saying, what they mean, and it seems to come to me in the form of music. I couldn't live without it, and it really does help me on the design process. So yeah, when I was younger, I would just actually listen to like CDs or whatever, and I would just sit there. I'd have the lava lamp on. I used to have this lava lamp, and it would create all these kind of bubble shapes and stuff, and honestly, you could watch it for a while and you will see the different patterns and the different forms of like lava that's in there, and it's kind of cool, and it does help to like take those shapes and apply it to your design work. So that's what I used to sometimes do. But music is a big thing for me. It definitely is helps me out with the process, because I feel like when you're designing, you're really into your mind at that moment, because it's something that you're literally trying to make, right? So but it's coming from feelings and thoughts. And so it's really important for me to be in a certain state sometimes to have the best, outcome.
That is so true. What does conscious design mean to you? How does it help you envision the future of earth-friendly inspired products?
Conscious design means a lot of things, but to me it really means having those products that are really helpful for, that are helpful and make you change a certain behavior without it being too obvious. So I think like making conscious product that leads to an action that's overall, a good action, a better habit, for example, or, it's like intentionally designing. I mean, obviously design is there to solve problems, but you could solve a problem, but then you can also solve another problem on top of that. So yeah, so like if you take example of Soul X, our bottle, that it's conscious because it's consciously designed because it's helping the environment, but it's also helping you because you're now drinking water, hopefully, or some healthy green juices or smoothies, and or you're not wasting single-use cups and stuff and just making more crap in the ocean and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of stuff like that. So I mean, I don't know if I'm trying to think of other examples that not based on Pod-X, but yeah, I mean, there are so many things now, it's very hard to pick. Yeah, but it's just conscious design just really means making you inspire intelligent human behavior, making you do something without you even realizing, but it's designed consciously so that you do that, you follow through with those habits. Like, for example, now using a reusable bottle rather than a single use, or it's things like that, like or even materials like wearing or using materials that are better for the planet, stuff like that. And what is my vision on the future of earth-friendly inspired products? I think at the beginning it seemed very it just seemed like, oh no, it's vegan and it's like crap looking and it's not, it doesn't look nice, there's new shiny things. But we've definitely come far from that. Like, there is a lot of products that are very sustainable and beautiful and looks amazing. So yeah, I mean, we've definitely come a long way. I think anything that's earth friendly has to be it just has to like there has to be an end cycle as well of the product. So how does it get recycled? What happens when it's like, I don't know, comes to the end of its time, or just how do you use it? How do you store it? All these little questions, like the afterlife as well of the product has to be taken into consideration. Like, for example, the bottle we made, Soul X, is completely recyclable after, and it's designed to keep for a very long time. It's shatterproof, so hopefully you keep for many years. That's the plan. So I think earth-friendly products should have a long lifespan. And I remember doing this project at my university in the last year. I did edible packaging, because I was thinking about, I was doing like some sort of like just a study of like researching about how we can make packaging better. And one of the things I realized is that sometimes when we have food packaging, like, we lose a lot of nutrients and stuff like that. And I just thought to myself, well, I'm going to make packaging that is with added nutrients, and it was all food and plant-based. And I got it was interesting because I know it was biodegradable at the end. Like, for example, all our packaging should kind of be biodegradable unless it's so nice you want to keep it and it has other uses. So you can have packaging that lasts as long as there's a little bit of a purpose, even if it's like a box to store in, or even you like the message on the box or something. And for the rest of the other packaging where people don't really need it or want it so much, it should go back to the earth. I think that's what I think. Because like, packaging is, what's the purpose of packaging? It's to inform, it's to protect, it's to just all that kind of stuff. But once you've taken the product out of its packaging, you have to think about what's going to happen. Like, you can't just throw it in the bin. It's just going to be such a waste. Again, it's like single use, isn't it? You opened it once and that was it. Unless you can reuse the bottle, or reuse the packaging, reuse something, then there's a little bit of something there. But if it's just like, open it, chuck the box, it's like, then what was the point of having that box? Do you know what I mean? So I'd rather, I think about packaging more as well than even products. So I think packaging is equally important. Obviously, being a packaging designer as well, I've made some packages in my time, and obviously the right material has to be involved, I think, because there's just no way that, we just have to be way more aware of these things. Like, one-time uses are very difficult now. It shouldn't be one-time use. It should be refillable, or it could be returned. I think it's important. So but again, it has to be convenient. People won't change if it's not convenient. It just won't work. So it's got to be convenient, and it's got to help the planet, and it's got to also do this job for why it's even why do people even have packaging? It has to do all those things it's supposed to do, but we have to just care about the afterlife as well. So of that product. So or the packaging. When I was doing the edible packaging as well, I was really thinking about, like I mentioned earlier, like adding nutrients back into the packaging, and also allowing people to eat the packaging because it was edible packaging. And so the whole point was that it could either biodegrade in nature or you could eat it. So, there wasn't any waste in the end. As long as it goes back to the ground, as long as it, it's just going again, isn't it? It's a cycle. So I think that everything should have a purpose. Like, when we look at our packaging for products, like, we initially wanted to give it a second kind of like use, but the box itself would be a very, very nice box. It's gonna be a box that we are hoping people would keep at them, with the messages that we have on there and stuff like that. But again, we are developing better packaging as we go along. Right now, we're still at this phase where things are exciting. They're very exciting time, but there's just so much that we have to do, right? But it is something that we have always thought about, and we're applying the best to it. Just our main hope is that people would keep the box and use it for something else. We'll see when the time comes, but we want to be able to, like make people aware of these kinds of things, because although you have a great product, everything about the product should also be like part of keeping it, keep the packaging, especially if it's going to like be useful for you. I know lots of people who keep boxes and they use them. Sometimes they use them to store things. Sometimes they use them because they just like the box and it's a piece of art for them almost. So yeah, it really is about like having a purpose for it as well, not just the one use. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's the way earth-friendly products are going to head down to eventually as well. Packaging is going to be a big thing. I really believe so. Products as well, but packaging, because packaging is like used so quickly, I think there needs to be a bit more focus on that. But, for Podex, we've designed a really beautiful box. Got lovely prints on it. And yeah, it's a box that we hope you keep. And yeah, so we'll see.
Right. What were the biggest hurdles you faced at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey? And how did you overcome those hurdles?
The early days of Podex were very, I could say exciting, but also very scary. It's not an easy thing to do, like start your own thing, and especially when you worry about finances and how you're going to sustain yourself. It's very difficult. It was absolutely crazy, but I wouldn't have done it any other way, to be honest. I really don't feel that I could have done it any other way. This was the way it was meant to be. But as I said earlier, I was taking on multiple jobs. I was in 5 different jobs, just going for it, waking up early, coming home late at night, and then, starting Podex, working on Podex stuff. So yeah, it never, I was going to do it. I was determined, I was ambitious, and it was going to happen. And I didn't think anything like it wasn't going to. I never thought, I'm not going to do it. It was just like, I have to do this. I want to do this. This is what I need to do. So it was that. But it was not easy. I'm just thinking about some of those hurdles. Like, obviously I live in London and it's a very inexpensive place. So I had to just, where our studio was, I had to just live there for a while. And it wasn't a place to live. There wasn't a toilet, shower, or bathroom or anything. So I used to go to the local gym. I'd come after work, quickly take a shower and then, go home or whatever. But I had to do that for a while. It was about almost a year and a half. And it was just some of the sacrifices I had to do, And also I didn't have a kitchen in there. So, I'd end up getting stuff so I could put in the microwave. But I would just get bags of salads, to be honest, and just eat that. And slept on the air mattress on a cold concrete floor. So these are really some crazy things that I'm telling. But you know what? It's fine. It was what it was. I was prepared, and I was gonna do this no matter what. So I had to save some money as well. So I was paying for where I was living, and then I was paying for the studio where we hired, and it was just it was not easy. I just remember struggling quite a bit. Yeah, and just really working all the time, and then eventually I started to create a team, slowly. With the money I was making from work or doing all these jobs, I could slowly start to employ some people. And I was looking, initially we were going to because when you hear manufacturing, you think, oh, China. But I really didn't want to do it in China. I didn't feel, it didn't suit well with me. I think China has a quite bad reputation, and maybe it's the right thing or wrong thing, but I just wanted to do it where it was possible for me, which was in Asia, Bangladesh and India, because, I do have, I am Bengali and I've got Indian in me as well. So it made sense that I would do it in where my parents were born, because, I'm also that as well. I could speak the language, and that was the biggest thing, I think, for me. So, yeah. So it was really important that, we were able to work somewhere where we could communicate quite easily. So, yeah. But it was very difficult at the beginning. I remember feeling very anxious when I was about to leave my other job as a design technician, I was a design technician for a while, and I don't know, it was just like scary, the thought of like not having a normal income, but I was freelancing, and it was okay. I had to really push myself out there, and I look back at that situation and think, if I hadn't done all those things when I was really young, in my teenage years, working for free for multiple places, like it was endless. I even did like a window like dressing, like for this this electronic shop, where I made like this Christmas tree cutout out of wood, and where he could put TVs on like inside. So it was like, the idea was like, it's Christmas and this is the present that you can buy, and it was just crazy. I've done a lot of things, and I think that helped me. That gives me that, when I remember like doing all that when I was younger, it gave me the energy to know that I could do it again. Like I just worked really hard, and nothing was going to stop me. There were other challenges in my personal life as well, but you know what, I just focused on what I was going to do, and that was that. I mean, I'm really not going into much detail about all of that because it's quite personal, but it's just it's, if you really want something, what are you prepared to do? And well, I was prepared to sleep on the floor with no heating, not even have a toilet, shower, or bathroom, and go to the bloody gym nearby and work 5 jobs, and all through like dealing with other things. And it was tough. I can't, like, in a way, I look back and I think, wow, but the thing is, it's just the part of products is beginnings, so it's well worth it. I don't think anyone would put themselves through all that if they didn't believe it was worth it. And it is worth it. It's a great brand, futuristic design brand, focusing on things from space, earth, nature, ocean, humanity. These are all the products that we're going to be making. It's not just like, we're not a bottle company. So it was never going to be a bottle company. We're a company that designs things for space travel, nature, all sorts of things. So I had to do this. So that's where it all started. Other hurdles was, just emotional stuff as well. You think you're getting somewhere only to fall back down. So it was also another hurdle just to make myself in a good state. And I remember listening to this song by Coldplay, and one of the lines was only I own me, and he says, like, Chris Martin goes, gonna hold up half the sky and say only I own me. Because I felt like, I mean, we are all entitled to our own lives, but I felt like it wasn't always my life. Like, it's a bit weird to explain. Like, you feel like you owe people stuff, like you can't be a certain way, or you can't do this or that in case someone gets upset, or this and this. But then, that line was like, gonna hold up half the sky and only I own me, meant that it's like a very powerful line. Like, imagine like holding the sky up and only you own yourself, and no one's telling you what to do. So a lot of the stuff, this chatter in our mind, is just like stopping us from really achieving our goals, because we worry so much about other people around us, whether that's friends or family or whatever. And when you take all that away, you are left with your power, and you can achieve whatever you want. So that's what I also did struggle with that, but until I learnt that particular line really resonated with me. So there was a lot of emotional things I think that I was dealing with that I don't really care as much now. But at the time, it didn't feel good. So but I just kept going. All you can do is keep going. As they say in England, keep calm and carry on. You just have to go for it. Other things are like, other hurdles, such as like, I'm initially my whole thing was like, I want to design, I'm going to be creating things, amazing products, mind-blowing stuff, things like that. And so I found myself going from this designer to, oh God, now this business person. I'm dealing with tax, I'm dealing with accounts, I'm dealing with people, I'm trying to manage people's emotions, I'm, sourcing, running, doing everything, making videos, putting music on, editing, everything. I was doing everything at one point. And then eventually the right people come along, and that's great. I'm very grateful for my team as well. But just at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, it was like, doing legal stuff, things that I've never done before legally. I mean, I've worked for a lot of like good places. I even worked for this really very famous guy in England. Most people will know him. But, I learned some stuff there, but I never had to deal with like the actual like legal stuff. So I was going from this designer to now a lawyer to now an accountant to now everything. So I learned about shipping. I learned so much. Like, one of the things I was doing as well is trying to file for patent as well. And that was very stressful, Sometimes even the USA, they're like, I can't believe you filed that yourself. I'm like, well, I had to, because there was just not enough funds. We're talking about lots of money to hire like lawyers and stuff like that. So yeah, I had to be everything, and I had to really not get down about stuff, like, okay, something didn't go right. Okay, let's, roll up our sleeves and let's go again. It takes a lot of courage, especially when you're dealing with so many stuff, so many things, like, and you don't know if it's right or wrong. You just have to keep going, just constantly working on it, and, you just go for it. That's all I can say, really. But yeah, it was difficult. I wasn't living in the best circumstances either, so that was not helpful either. But you know what, when I look back at it, like I said, it's just how it was supposed to be, so I'm not so worried about it now, because yeah, it's that's the beginning of entrepreneurship. And I think a lot of people think that, oh, I can make a business, it's easy. it's easy if it's easy, but when it's not easy, it's not. And I don't think entrepreneurship is easy at all. I wouldn't even put myself in the entrepreneurial category, to be honest, but I guess I am in there, so yeah. But I don't see products like a business. I'm doing products that I love to design, love to create, love to make, Yes, it is a business. Of course it's a business, because we all have to live, eat, pay for things and run things. I get that, but ultimately it's about creating great products that are really serving people, or the planet, or space, or nature, or whatever. That's ultimately what it's about. So yeah, but entrepreneurship has, like, there's another side to entrepreneurship that's it's not all roses. Honestly, it really isn't, because you can have a massive high and you can come right back down, and you're like, it's so hard to pick yourself up. Like, only recently, like when I was in Asia and I went to Dubai as well, we had made the sample of Soul X, and it was great. But then I noticed that there was something that we didn't do, and it was like, oh my god. So coming from this high of finally, to like being dropped, like, I'm telling you, I felt like I fell off Mount Everest. That's how it felt. Like, it was bad, and I just kept feeling like, really, like, oh my god. Like, I don't even know why I'm still here sometimes. It's I don't even know sometimes, but I know why. But sometimes when you go through so much, you do think, what the hell? Like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through? But like I said, I have so much love and passion for what I do that it overrides the shit times, so to say that. But yeah, and I'm grateful I have that, because without passion, it means nothing. Like, if you, like, I could go and make tons of money doing, I don't know, selling something else, making cars or designing for other people if I wanted. But the thing is, I'm so passionate about this that I would do it. Like, I would do Pod X, and I'm only here for that, really and truly. Like, one of the main reasons why I believe I'm here is for that, for Pod X. So yeah, so it was very difficult. Lots of things, financial, emotional, health, all kinds of things. It's a whole transformation. But through that transformation, I've learned a lot as well. I've learned about just my mind. I've learned about people. I've learned about, the idea that I had about people and friendships and, family and all kinds of stuff is not in the same way. I don't see it the same way. There are people coming in your life. There are people going in your life. There are people that you connect with. It's a crazy place, entrepreneurship. I wouldn't advise doing it if you weren't ready for it, but just be prepared. And, especially at the beginning of the entrepreneurial life, it was, meeting the right people as well, but being at the right time. That thing they say, being, you have to be there at the certain particular times, and, you might meet that person or not. I found myself in so many places where, like, someone knew something and they knew that and I knew this, and it was like connecting and all kinds of stuff like that. But ultimately, it's really got to be about what you want, and if you're willing to go through that. because I mean, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, but I don't know if it's obviously it's not all the same story. But I think for me it was very difficult because I was alone, completely alone at the beginning. It was but I was, like I said, I had power and I expressed that and just went for it. This was, for me, Podex is do or die. It really is like, I'm here for Podex, that's what I want. I want to create the best things. But like I said, so it's going to pull you, it's going to push you, it's going to tear you apart, and it's going to put you back together, then it's going to tear you even harder, and it's just like, wow, it's like a constant, like, it's like it overtakes your life sometimes, but you have to know how to have balance again, because I do know for a fact at the beginning it overtook me. Everything was about Podex. Your mind is on 24/7 about things you're doing, the work you're doing, the work you have to do, the things you have to get. It was constant. And so that's the beginning of Podex.
That's quite a struggle, but those struggles make you stronger, wiser and powerful, right? So what are your aspirations for the future when it comes to Podex and yourself?
It's a very exciting time for Podex right now. There's many projects that we have been working on, but we're just really been focusing on our main one at the moment, if I'm totally honest. But there's definitely a lot brewing, and they're all going to unravel very soon. And my aspirations for Podex is to be one of the world's most futuristic conscious design brand out there. That we're not a bottle company, as I have mentioned before. We're going to make products for space travel, nature. We want to work with symbiotic products that help nature too, and humanity and the ocean, and all this kind of stuff. We really want to help and contribute and create. It's going to be a global name worldwide. The world is everywhere, and it's not just in London. So people need our products. And there's a lot of people who want our products because it's something that's very convenient and useful. And there's been a lot of messages. I get a lot of messages all the time, and people love the design, and it makes me very happy because nobody sees the pain and the stress and all that kind of stuff. They don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We never do, really. We only see the end product. But the tears, the blood, the sweat and everything, it's just, it was crazy. But it's, I'll do it again if I have to, just not stress as much. But, because I've learnt some things from it. But, at the end of the day, Podex is going to be that global brand that people are going to feel and want. It has really good intentions. Everything we do, everyone in Podex also has good intentions. I'm very careful of who I allow in Podex because you have to have a good heart. You cannot be treating other people in a way which is horrible. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've all lost our tempers with each other here and there. I have, definitely, because I'm also a human. We all have the same tendencies. It's not intentionally meant to be a bad thing, but at the end of the day, we're trying to create something that's great for everyone. So naturally, there will be some ups and downs, but really and truly, Podex is, at the core of Podex, it's about making great products, whether that's, physical, digital. It just has to have a positive, energy about it, positive impact. It has to help people. So that's the future of Podex. It's very exciting. We're making inventions that have never been done before, as I have mentioned earlier. There are things that are coming into my mind, and it's just wow. It's really crazy stuff. I really hope this brand represents love and kindness, and I hope this brand represents futuristicness, and it's all about helping. It really is about that. It's not. It's like I said, I don't even see it as a business, which is probably not the right thing to say. But the thing is, I really don't. I see it as a place of creating great, things great products that help, And I mean, like I said, it obviously is a business because you're going to buy stuff, and but that's just a part of it. It is that because money has to be money has to be spent, doesn't it? So but that's where I see Podex, And you had another question here. What are my personal aspirations? with Podex and myself, I suppose. Well, for myself, I want to be in a place where, we're getting those products out to people. People need them, people want them. We've kind of got like a few fans like around the world. And it's quite nice to see because people really do love the work and they say that to me and it feels really nice to hear. So yeah, but for myself, it really is just about getting products out and, making people connect to that, connecting to themselves as well, getting to know themselves. There's always going to be a message of love in our products. And the X, as I said, it's, I want people to know that the X is there for, what I mentioned earlier, which is, a kiss, like being, kissing the world, like having love for everything in the world, everything outside of it too. And we have this thing where we sometimes put the X, like we make the X mark, like with our hands, like with our arms, we cross it over across our chest. And, that's to represent love. That's that's a way of greeting others, so we do that. But it's, again, representing Podex. I'm just going to push Podex out into the world even bigger than I'm just going to go for it. I have nothing to hide, nothing to lose. And, apart from being stressed and stuff like that. But you know what? This needs to be where it needs to be and everybody needs to see it. So I'm just going to push it out there because it's something amazing. I know that I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't feel like it was a good thing. And when you see Podex, you feel that it's a good thing. And what most people do, I haven't heard of anyone necessarily not saying that. I mean, there's criticism here and there, of course, but you can just take the good from that and apply it or, do whatever you believe is right. But so my aspiration is just to become just to push Podex out there and also become a great leader. I am in leadership and I have a team full of guys at the moment. I am looking to, have more females on there. I'm the only woman on my team. I am also the founder, and I mean, I don't know if it's because of that, but our team is at a size that, we should be doubling up by the end of the year for sure. But really, I want to be a good leader for all of the people in there. I want to help them as well individually. I want us to all go to the top together and help as much as possible. That's my main thing, is to become a leader that is there for my team. Like, how can I help you? What can I do? It's not about me. It's about them. And of course, it's about me as well, but it's also about them. And that's the main thing for me. If I can be there for my team, then that's great, because it's only going to help me out as well. It's going to help, it has, like I said, everything for me is a symbiotic relationship. It's a give and take, and that's how it should be, because at the end of the day, we're all here exchanging energy and giving, our best, So I just want to be in that position, and I want to make sure of it. Get products out there, be a great leader, have amazing inventions, give it to the world, contribute to them massively. I want it to help everyone every day. We're also, planning on having locations in, other parts of the world. We have a location in North America. We have a location in Europe, which is in London, and in Asia as well. But I'd like to get the other continents as well. I'd like to have a headquarters in all of these places, just so that it makes it easier for people to reach out to us and for us to reach out to them, and give them hope, give them love, give them everything that we can that's going to help them. That's the main thing. So yeah, that's where I see Podex heading into, a very futuristic, massive brand that people can connect to.
Lovely. What piece of advice would you like to share with aspiring designers who want to build their career in sustainable design?
My advice for, other aspiring designers who want to build a career in sustainable design would be to, firstly, do it if it's really something you want to do. Because sometimes we're in this design field and we find ourselves, swaying to other kinds of, topics and projects, and it's not always something, what we think we want to do is not always what we want to do, because things change. But if you really want to do it, then go for it. But my advice would be to understand that when you're approaching these, projects, designing sustainability and, whatever else you're making, you need to be very intentional. It has to be extremely deliberate. Like, you can't, like, sustainability is a deliberate action. You know, it's like, we're making this, we're using this particular material for this reason. You know, it can't just be, oh yeah, we just used the metal because it was convenient. No, it has to be right as well. Sustainability is two things: what's good for the environment and what's also good for the individual, because often we forget that we are also nature. Like, so, you know, we have to think about ourselves as well. It cannot be harmful, it cannot be bad in any way. Like, I mean, I feel like when you're designing, you have to understand that we're so far away from nature that we are trying to get back to it. Maybe we have to go 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but, you know, slowly we'll get back there, you know. So whenever you're designing this stuff, you have to bear this in mind. Everything is deliberate, everything is intentional. Be aware of the process of how people and customers react to certain things. So if you're designing something, how is that product going to start? How is that product going to finish? What about the afterlife of the packaging? You know, all these kinds of things you have to consider. So just be very thought, just think everything through, including manufacturing, how it's going to be manufactured. Like, we manufacture in Asia in Podex. We have like 2 factories in Dhaka in Asia. And the thing is, like, Bangladesh is known for having a lot of green factories right now, and it's a good place because it means that we also get to plant a lot of trees. There's a lot of nature there. We plant trees, and we don't plant in the same city. We're just a few hours away from that city, but we do that as well. You know, there's things that we have to think, okay, if we're gonna do this, we have to make sure we do that. You know, it's just about like being aware of the whole process in general. So yeah, I mean, maybe you can start small, but hopefully eventually you want to, do things in a way that's going to help the whole process environmentally, by being environmentally friendly. So yeah, just to be very aware of that in particular. Design is not necessarily the easiest thing for many people, because it's one of the subjects that involve everything. Like, it involves art, it involves maths, it involves science. There's so much to it. So if you want to do design, you'll have to, it's not art, is what I'm saying. It's a mixture of art with other things. So just bear that in mind. You've got to actually understand how products work, how things are made, what materials are used. You have to educate yourself in a lot, because design consists of a lot. So yeah, so that would be my advice. And also design with your heart. I design with my heart completely. Obviously there's logic there as well, but you have to do it because you love it. You have to do it because you're passionate about it. I love design. I'm obsessed with it. I've been doing design since I was very young, as I already mentioned earlier. But, and if I love what I do, I'm only going to give that to everyone, innit? I'm going to be giving love to people. Like, they're going to receive this amazing, iconic design, and they're going to know it was like intentional, and it was, made with so much care, and that's what you want. You want to make a product that you care. You should have to show you care. And that's what I've done. And that's my advice, is to care. Is to care about people. Is to care about the environment. Is to make effort. Work with your heart. Be passionate. You should be passionate. You shouldn't be something that you become, that you choose just to be, just for that. You should already feel passionate about doing design, and that's why you're a designer. Not because you think it's cool or anything else. I design. My ultimate thing is designing. That's why I'm doing PodX. It's not because I want to be, this designer. I just want to create and make. You've got to love what you do. So make sure you love what you're doing. And there will be challenges, like in any design project. You never ever leave with what you came with. You might have designed a circle only to end up with a rectangle. It's, well, not a rectangle, maybe like an octagon or something. But things are always a development, and things can only get better. But that's what I would do. And I will also talk about trying to get inspiration. Look at the good things you want to do with your product, or how your product can make a big impact on others, how it can solve problems. So yeah, it's all about that.
What message do you have for our listeners?
I just wanted to thank Mitali for, inviting me to this amazing self-talk show. It's a very, it's kind of a unique concept, as I have already mentioned. So yeah, I think it's a great show, and you've had some great guests, and yeah, so I would just leave your listeners with one or two things. One is, we're all here for something. We all have talents, we all have skills, we all do something that we love, and if you really want to do something that you truly love, you should find a way to do it, because what you love is a gift to us, is a gift to the rest of the world. Don't hide your gifts, share them. It's really important to share them. Too many people get into these places and spaces in life, and they don't really achieve what they want. They just go with what they think they should do, or a lot of people are scared. Some people are scared to leave relationships. Some people are scared to, take the new job. Some people are just scared. Some people also worry about what others think of them. And that's really not a good place to be, because I think as long as your heart is intentional, you shouldn't worry about what people think of you. You should worry about what you think of yourself. Are you doing better every day for you and everyone around you? So yeah. And the other thing is that, I realized there was a lot of people in my life that just changed a bit after I started to show my product. Not in the best way possible. And, it was quite upsetting, because most of these people I cared about, I really wanted, I thought they wanted to help me. I thought they, were going to be supportive and stuff like that. But, you meet a lot of people that are not supportive. And these are really somewhat, some close people, not my family, but, other people's friends and other people's families and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you have to never take it personally, because what I've realized is that this is just them reflecting how much they hate where they are in life. You can't take that on. I won't advise you to take on their misery or their pain. That's why my advice is to fill up your heart with love, so that you can never feel any kind of hatred from them, because love overrides everything. I feel good about who I'm becoming every day, even through the struggles that people don't see. But I've got into this space where it doesn't matter what someone says or someone makes up about me. It doesn't bother me, because I know my heart, I know me, I know my intentions, and I know what I'm going to do. So yeah, and I'm not here to hurt anyone. I'm just here to live my life, do my design, so I can share my gifts with the world. So I don't take on anyone's negativity anymore, because it's just not worth it. And if anything, I wish that those people love. That's all you can do. So my message to everyone is to increase the love and share your gifts, because that is going to lead you to another level of life which you didn't even know that you could have. But if you feel good inside, you can feel good outside too. And there will be times of hate, there will be times of love, there'll be times of happiness, there'll be times of sadness, there'll be sometimes of joy, misery. It's just the balance of life, and you have to keep going for it, even if it's even if you don't feel like it at times. But you have to remember that those times will change. And I hope that Soul X is a representation of life. Have both, have the balance, have the ups, have the downs. We're not designed to be happy all the time. It's not true. We're just designed to grow and learn and stuff like that. But yeah, as long as we remember that should be, okay. I'm very excited for PodX, the future PodX. Very excited for me, as I'll be learning and growing. I'm very grateful as well for everyone who's been on this, watching me on social media or wherever. It's been a long time, but we're getting there finally, and that's what matters the most. Making every day count. Getting closer to our goals. Soon enough we'll be able to share our gifts. The sales will be going out in July, hopefully, because with manufacturing it can be crazy. But I'm looking at July, and it seems like a nice time. I've always wanted it to be in the springtime and in the summer. So yes, summer, it should be in everyone's hands. I'm very excited for everyone as well to get one and just enjoy it. This is pure love. Soul X is pure love, and you will get to have a piece of love, and that is really what it is. So yeah, thank you everybody for all of this, and also Mitali, thank you very much for letting me come on your show, inviting me here, and you've got a fantastic show. I'm really excited for people to hear this podcast with you, and I hope you all enjoyed it. I have been going on for a while, but yeah. Well, thank you once again. Thank you, Mitali. And I wish everybody good luck with the futures. Just go for it. Nothing to lose. Honestly, nothing. And thank you, Mitali, once again. You're an amazing person. I've known Mitali for about a year. And, she's asked me to come on, and I've asked to, talk on the show as well. So it's been really fun. I don't do this often, but I have got a few things lined up as well, and I know I have to do those. But I'm just, I just like Mitali's way of doing this, because Mitali's quite a spiritual person, and if you look into her podcast, you'll learn, and you'll see some great stuff. So yeah, so thank you once again. Sending love from me, Hazera, and also from my team PodX. So wishing everyone a great time ahead.
That's a wonderful message, Hazera. Thank you for your time. It was lovely having you on the show. You can connect with Hazera Chowdhury through her website. Find the link in the episode description. So with this, we come to an end of this episode. Hope you liked it, and the feedback would definitely do wonders. I would really appreciate it if you can subscribe to Self Talk Show. More awareness and more episodes are coming your way, so stay tuned and keep self-talking. You can reach out to me for questions, queries, or suggestions at www.selftalkshow.com, or email me at showselftalk@gmail.com, or through social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you again, and see you with another episode.